Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are Sarah and Austin, and in today's video, because it is cold out and there's not a whole lot we can do outside, we thought it'd be a fun opportunity to look back at the almost 2 years that we've been here on the property and talk about all the ways that we screwed up. All the mistakes that we made, or if they weren't a mistake, maybe things that we would have done differently in some of the projects and building that we did.
Yeah.
Do you want to start off right off the bat and just start
Sure.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the first one. What's the first mistake that you think we've made so far on the property?
The first mistake that I made was doing fun vegetables, like picking things off the catalog that were just like really exciting, like pink celery and purple lettuce and all the colorful things that didn't necessarily taste good. So we didn't eat them.
Of which, we barely had any of, the black tomatoes, pink celery. So I think going into this year, we're probably going to try and slim down our varieties and really go for the ones that are going to produce the most, that we like the best. And we still might have some fun varieties.
But I think the goal is really to be self-sustaining, and so like getting back to the basics and things that are just like that store well, like potatoes, and just being kind of boring, I think just makes more sense as a homestead. Yeah. To like actually homestead and like save food. Right.
So things that we'll do differently. Along the same lines, I think one of the bigger again, I don't know if it's a mistake, but definitely would have done differently, was actually build our garden even bigger. When we moved here, we didn't have any gardening experience or very little. And so it was kind of hard to picture exactly what we wanted or how much space we would need. We knew what we wanted the garden to look like, but we didn't really have any previous history to go off of, any previous really knowledge to go off of for how much space we would need. And now that we've been through 2 growing seasons, we definitely are going to have to expand our garden. Hey, Mabel. Outside of the fenced in area. So that was one thing that, going back, I would have made it bigger. Probably. Yeah. And not to say that we can't add on at any point.
Right, but it just being fenced in, that makes it, difficult. Yes. But yeah, coming from suburban 10 by 10 gardens, what we built at first we thought was huge. So.
Right. Yeah, because it's almost 10,000 square feet.
Is it?
The inside of the garden is almost 10,000 square feet. And we have garden beds in there, right? But... Okay, buddy.
Do you mean 1,000 square feet?
No, 10,000. It's 30 by 30. Or it's like 32 by 32. We're going to do some quick math live. I think it's 32 by 32.
Is this live?
Wait. 1,000.
I was like, and I'm the one that's bad. 10,000. I was like, there's no way.
Oh man, I don't know why in my head
you 10x to
I 10x everything. It's about 1,000 square feet. And
I was like, I must be really bad at math. That's what 10,000 square feet looks like.
Wow. Yeah, I really was way off in that. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyways, it's small. So we definitely will have to this year grow on the outside of the garden.
10,000 is really big.
10,000 is big, yeah. I'm sure there's people out there. If you have a garden that's 10,000 square feet,
that's just like probably like a farm.
Right. But like fenced in.
But like a fenced in garden with beds and stuff.
My math is bad. This is why we're out here not working in,
we can't have real jobs,
engineering jobs or anything like that, because it would not go over well. So that's the next mistake we made, is a bigger garden. And another one that has really wreaked havoc in many areas of our life since being out here is going or trying to be frugal on the wrong items. And the first one that comes to mind is our lawnmowers. We have been through 3 lawnmowers. We're on our 3rd riding lawnmower since we moved it out here. And we thought, we have about 2.5 acres of mowable area. And we're like, we'll just get something off Facebook Marketplace that's under $1,000, looks like it's in decent shape. Well, we made that mistake and it crapped out on us after
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, after about a month or so. And
also, though, can I tell everyone that you tried to ride it up the hill into the woods? It's a steep hill.
I didn't try. I succeeded.
And then it broke shortly thereafter, so.
But I think it was on its way out after that.
I think you just really helped it along.
Maybe a little bit. But anyways, after trying to fix that then for I don't know how many days I spent trying to fix it, we threw in the towel and we made the same mistake again and got another one that looked like it was a little bit better, but it lasted us 3 months, 4 months maybe.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So it lasted us less than half a year. And now we're on our 3rd one. And to make this even better, we got this one for free. So we'll see.
But this one has lasted longer than the other two.
Yes, this one has lasted longer than the other 2 and it rides better. So yeah, I think in the future we'll definitely, once this one breaks, as annoying as it is, but I think we'll have to spend the money and get a reliable
real one
mower, because that's just one of the most frustrating things when I get up to go out and mow the lawn and the thing just doesn't start.
Yeah.
So with the mowers, we also made the mistake. I would do this differently when we were making our garden beds. So we used cedar fence posts, which I think wasn't a terrible idea, but they were not as durable as I thought they would be. So we ended up making 24, I think it was 23 or 24 4x4 garden beds that were about 6 inches, 7 inches tall. Yeah. And we did all that for under $100, all the materials, which that's pretty stinking cheap. But now that they're 2 years in and 2 years weathered, some of them are kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
And some will probably need to be replaced. If not this year, definitely probably next year. Which is a bummer, because ideally when you do things, you want things to last a while, right?
Yeah.
So that was one area that if I were to go back and redo it, I probably would have spent the money to buy some nice wood that was going to last for, 10, 15 years, however long. But
now you know.
And now we know, yeah. And it's kind of tough because we can't do a ton of planting in the ground because we have, in certain areas, we have a really bad gopher problem.
Yeah.
And so this year I noticed too, they snuck into the garden. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah.
Where?
So kind of in the back by the shed, there's certain areas within our pathway that are raised up that you could tell that there's something underneath. So yeah, that's going to be probably a goal of 2023 is to eradicate the gophers that are on our property.
Yeah. Our dogs don't do a good enough job.
They sure dig the holes, but I don't think they've succeeded in getting any of the gophers out and away from us.
Nope.
The last quick thing on this one point is the dirt that we started with too. You want to tell them a little bit about the dirt?
Yeah, originally we do square foot gardening. I read the book by, I forget his name. Do you remember the author's name?
I don't.
So anyway,
Glenn.
No, it's not Glenn.
Okay.
We could call him Glenn.
Yes.
But Glenn suggests 1/3 cocoa coir or something like that, 1/3 compost, and then 1/3
Just soil, regular dirt, I think.
No, what's the white fluffy stuff?
Oh, vermiculite?
Yes, yeah, That's what he suggests for making your soil. And so we were going to go all in and do that, because if you go with that recipe, like you start with 0 weeds in your soil. And so the only weeding you have to do is anything that blows in. But our lovely, generous neighbor had just like a mound of dirt in his yard that he offered to give us, so we took it. But lo and behold, we have so many weeds.
And the thing that's interesting was the first year, last year, didn't feel like there was a ton of weeds. Like there was definitely some, but this year it was
crazy.
Unbeweedable.
Wow, I was not expecting that. That was cringe.
It was wild how many weeds we had in the garden in each of the boxes. I mean, almost every day, I think we spent, between at least the two of us, at least probably a half hour weeding.
Yeah,
I would say. And yeah, so next year we're probably going to have to do a lot of mulching. We're probably maybe going to have to lay down some landscape fabric over some of the beds, and just to cut off any sort of nutrients, sunlight, etc. to the weeds so that they don't completely take over. So yeah, that was a mistake, and that was one definitely that I would for sure do differently, is to get high quality, good soil to start. That way you're not having to deal with weeds, and ideally it's a good soil for growing. So, but if you live in an area where your ground is sufficient, do that, because that's the cheapest way to do it, I would say.
Even though you're like, don't cheap out, but
if you have
if
that
you
option,
can do it for free, do it.
We don't really, I mean, the area that we planted was so weedy anyways, that, and the soil was so sandy that I don't think we had really
and we don't have a tiller.
And we don't have a tiller and everything. So yeah. So that was one thing that I would do differently, was definitely invest in some good soil for sure. There's certain things that we cut corners on. That was definitely a mistake on our part. So the first one that comes to mind is the blueberry bushes that we planted.
I take no responsibility for that.
You didn't speak up either.
I did.
Did you?
Yes. I was like, we can't just put them in the field. We need like a dedicated space. We got to till it up or something.
Apparently, I don't remember this conversation, but we ended up planting the blueberry bushes. We got 15, I think, in this like kind of high grassy area. And we mowed it, but we probably should have just, again,
listen to your wife.
Yes. But we probably should have just tilled it all up, or figured out a way to get rid of all of the other pre-existing competition so that they would have thrived. They didn't thrive, and who knows if they're going to come back up next year, or if they just got completely taken over. But that was a mistake for sure, which was a bummer. And that's one thing that we really want to grow, is a bunch of blueberries, because we actually can here in Wisconsin because it's cold. But yeah, shout out to the North Branch, if you're watching this, because they have a killer blueberry patch. They planted like,
do they? I want to see it.
It's like over 100 blueberry bushes or something like that.
Teach us your ways.
Yeah.
Like, we don't plant ours in a field without tilling it.
Yeah. So they had this huge, awesome fenced in area that they did. So they're going to be having blueberries for years and years and years to come. So we'll live vicariously through you with our blueberries. But along with the blueberry bushes, also the trees, and I mentioned this in a previous video, doing a better job of just mulching, I think, around the trees, just so that, again, like taking out any pre-existing competition, I think is just going to always make, especially like fruit trees, fruit bushes, it's going to give them the best chance of thriving and the best chance of growing. So you live and you learn. I think we still have a long way to go with our fruit trees, bushes. Yeah. Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot that comes to like growing fruit trees, especially, that you just like, we were very hands off.
Yes.
For better or worse. I feel like our approach was like, Strongest will survive.
And it very much was, if, trying to plant it, and then if it lives, it lives. But I don't think that was the right approach.
Well,
I was trying to
feel
find
like
the
it
silver
would-
lining,
it
but I
would
just
be
don't
if,
think it's the
like,
right approach.
if you didn't have to spend however much per
Right.
tree.
Right.
Because who's that guy? I should know people's names if I'm going to talk about them, but I didn't know what we were talking about today. So that guy that has like a big, like sustainable ag in near Viroqua.
Yeah, it's in Wisconsin. Mark Shepard.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like just pure utter neglect. He just lets things go.
Yeah.
That's his approach. And so we're like, we can do that, but he has so many trees just like that he replants from, that he whatever.
Right. He's got thousands of different fruit trees and nut trees and
That's
everything
not
else.
us.
And that's not us.
We should
Maybe one day.
taking care of our few first, and then we can neglect them.
Yeah. So, and it's tough too, because you want to buy trees that, it's fun to buy the big ones, right? But sometimes they're over, depending on how mature of a tree that you buy, they're over like $100, some of them.
Yeah.
And that adds up real quick when you start, when you want to get 10.
An orchard.
Right. An orchard, right? And 10 trees at that rate, it's $1,000. And that's not what we're wanting to do. So I think, cutting the corners, we cut corners in a few different ways, but with the berry trees and the fruit trees, or berry bushes and fruit trees, definitely a lesson learned, but that's okay.
Next year.
And we're teaching you guys so that you can learn to do as we say and not as we do.
Yeah.
Are there any other ones that come to mind?
I think like we should have started with a chicken run, honestly, because we lost so many birds. We were like, they're fine.
Yeah.
And they were for a long time.
Right. We went like 6 months of having birds, I think, without having any sort of predator issues, free ranging all day, with no issues. And then, once we lost the first one, then it kind of seemed like it was like,
yeah.
Probably, would you have built the coop sooner than we did, or do you think the timeline was appropriate?
I don't know. I guess like in an ideal world, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to like prioritize projects. So
right.
Yeah, I just think a run would have come in handy so they didn't die. But
the run would have been nice. Even too when we spend the night away or whatever, that they could have the access to the outside. But so that was one thing. Another thing that I just thought of too, and not a big deal because I think we're going to correct it this upcoming spring, and that is our compost piles are kind of, they're not in a great area. They're pretty far from the garden, and they're up a hill into our woods. And taking wheelbarrows of compostable material out of the garden, up the hill, into the woods, it's not practical. So I think
good workout though.
It's a very good workout. You feel it in your thighs for sure.
Buns and thighs.
You want some thunder thighs? Go do some composting at our backyard. It's free. So to correct that, this year I think we're going to be making some more stationary compost areas.
This is news to me.
We talked about this, like right on the other side of the garden by the veggie wash station.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I think if we make like 3 areas that are big enough that we can just throw stuff literally over the fence and in there.
Yeah.
1, that'll be so much easier for us. 2, I think we will compost way more than we did.
I suppose.
Compost piles next to the garden for sure. We'll correct the mistake that we made of putting it way, way, way far away. Close with this then. What are you looking forward to the rest of 2022?
Oof. I'm looking forward. It's always fun starting all the seeds.
Yeah.
That's fun. Just having a day, me and you just filling cups of dirt and labeling everything and starting them.
That's going to come very quickly because I looked last year when we made our garden seed video, and that was I was about to say June. That was January 10th. We made that video.
We started seeds that early.
We didn't start the seeds, but when we went through what we were growing.
Oh.
January 10th that was. So that's like a month away, which is
holy cats.
mind blowing. Then we'll probably start them in February or maybe end of January.
Well, some things like sweet potatoes need a fat head start, but a lot of things you don't start until like
peppers we should.
Couple weeks before spring frost. I don't even know if we should do peppers. They just are terrible for us.
We are 0 for 2 on pepper growing.
We got a little. We did better this year than last, but nothing solid.
Not great. Yeah. So, and yeah, I think it's just this is gonna fly by. But I'm excited, kind of for. It's always tough making, or it's been tough. We only have one winter experience of making YouTube videos, but it's tough coming up with ideas. But I'm kind of excited because we're gonna do I think we'll do a recap video of 2022 along with 2023 kind of goals, hopes, and then we are going to be doing the pantry challenge again for January, the month of January, where you try not to go to the grocery store and you just eat what you have on hand. So that's always a fun time
for the first week, and then you're like,
Yeah, we made it I think 6 weeks last year without going to the grocery store. Yeah, which that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
So, and I feel like we have more stuff stored away this year than last year. So, we'll see. Maybe not. Oh no. So, yeah. So we have a lot coming up over these next couple months, and you just ruined your eye. Oh man, I think we're gonna sign it off here.
I gotta go shower.
My name's Austin.
I'm Sarah.
If you like what you saw and you want to help us out, we're trying to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Sorry, I know I was not